This is Karen.
Hey everybody, I am Shane.
Today we have our lesson on closed test and it's called
Have your cake and eat it.
Nom, 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 nom. And the vocabulary words are explode.
Explode.
The bomb exploded, but luckily no one was nearby.
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
Lightning is a natural phenomenon that releases a large amount of energy.
Belly.
Belly.
The soldier got down on his belly and started to crawl through the mud.
Sip.
Sip.
You look horrible. Sit down and have a sip of water.
That's a nice thing to say.
Yeah, you shouldn't tell somebody you look horrible.
Exactly. So we're talking about have your cake and eat it. So we're talking about yummy dessert.
Well, we are talking about cake or sweets.
Sweets, that's right.
Well, I think in English, we say there's always room for dessert. That means that no matter how full you are from eating dinner or lunch, there's always some room to have some sweets, some dessert.
Because there is a saying, I think people say there you have a dessert stomach, right?
Oh, I don't know. Do they say that? You probably say it like I have a dessert stomach.
Maybe. But when you're eating salty food, for example, and then you've been eating it and you feel so full, sometimes if you switch the taste, if you change it to sweet, something sweet, and then you might go back to having some more salty food again.
Yeah, I think if you eat a lot of one thing, it basically your brain tells you, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
But if you switch from like salty to sweet, you'll regain your appetite.
That's
so you
right.
get your appetite back and you can actually make more room.
So that's very simple. So if you really do want to eat more, just have a little bit of salty food and then sweet and then salty and then sweet and then salty and then sweet.
Most people are not trying to eat more, right? Usually it's the opposite. So
That's right.
if you're trying to lose weight, just eat the same thing.
Until you can't take it anymore.
Great idea. Okay, enjoy today's lesson.
Enjoy.
Have your cake and eat it. In amazing news for sweet-toothed people everywhere, scientists have discovered that even when our stomachs are ready to explode from eating, we can always make room for dessert. Dessert stomach is a real thing.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Hanny.
Welcome to this month's closed test lesson. Today, we'll be reading an article titled, Have Your Cake and Eat It.
Wait a minute. The saying is this: you can't have your cake and eat it too. That is, if you have a cake and you eat it, you won't have it anymore. 英文有句俗语是 you can't have your cake and eat it too， 字面意思是你不能又吃蛋糕又拥有它嘛，也就是鱼与熊掌不可兼得，不要想把好处便宜都占尽。So yes, just having a cake is nice because cakes are pretty and yummy.
Yeah, I like having cakes.
Yeah, but the moment you eat the cake, because cakes are delicious, you will no longer have that cake, right?
Right. You won't have that cake because you've eaten it. You can't really have a cake if that cake is now in your belly. That being said, apparently you can now break the you can't have your cake and eat it too rule. Now you can have your cake and eat it.
Jeff, you sound confused. I say we start reading. That way we can figure out what is going on. That should help with your confusion.
Thanks, Hanny. And yes, your idea, spot on, fantastic, wonderful. Let's start reading. Now earlier, I used the word belly. Sometimes people use the words belly and stomach interchangeably. Speaking of stomachs, the first line of today's lesson says, in amazing news for sweet-toothed people everywhere, scientists have discovered that even when our stomachs are ready to explode from eating, we can always make room for dessert. Okay, let's go ahead and pause briefly and talk about the first vocabulary word of the day. The verb explode.
Well, if something explodes, it blows up like a bomb. Now your stomach will probably never explode, but it might feel like it will if it is very full of food. Okay, let's take a look at an example sentence for the word explode. For example, the bomb exploded, but luckily no one was nearby.
Now moving on, we have more on stomachs and cake-like things that we eat, i.e. desserts. That's what we're going to read about next. The next sentence says, dessert stomach is a real thing. Yeah, sometimes, even though we feel like we're full, well, we always seem to find a way to make a little bit more room for dessert. Okay? Except that this is not just a feeling. Science says that dessert stomach is a real thing.
Wow, does it seem to happen? No, it does happen. Science says so. Anyway, with that, it is now time to take a break. Don't go away though, we'll be back soon.
Have your cake and eat it. A recent study shows that our tummies get bored if they have too much of the same thing. So let's say you finish off a bowl of delicious noodles. Your stomach will send a message to your brain saying, enough is enough. However, if you're presented with a new, more exciting flavor, like strawberry ice cream, then amazingly your stomach gets interested again and is ready for more. The same phenomenon makes you crave sweet treats after you eat too much salty food. It's your belly telling your brain to liven things up.
Welcome back to this month's clothes test, folks. The title of today's article is, Have Your Cake and Eat It. So far, we've talked about bellies and stomachs. Soon, we'll talk about tummies too.
Right, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, let's talk about what we read about before the break. Dessert stomach is a real thing. You know how you seem to always find a way to eat dessert even when you're really full? Apparently, your stomach, your tummy, actually finds room for dessert.
You are not willing yourself to eat dessert when full. Science says that...
Stop right there, Jeff. We are going to learn about what science says next. Okay, the next sentence says, a recent study shows that our tummies get if they have too much of the same thing.
Your options are A, to bore, B, bored, C, boring, or D, boredom.
题目的意思是，近期有一项研究显示，如果我们的肚子有太多相同的东西，它们会变得空格。这题是在考我们 get 的用法。句子里面的 get 它是当连缀动词，表达变得怎么样，之后是要接形容词。那么选项 A。To bore 它是不定词，选项 D boredom 是名词，这两个用法都不符合，可以先删除不考虑。那么 boredom 就是无聊、厌倦。好，那接着来看选项 B bored 它是形容感到无聊的、厌烦的。C boring 它是形容令人厌烦的、乏味的。那根据课文，它是把肚子来拟人化，表达说肚子吃太多一样的东西感到无聊了，而不是肚子让人无聊。所以正确答案要选 B bored. So the sentence should read,
A recent study shows that our tummies get bored if they have too much of the same thing. I think I get it. Your body doesn't want to eat too much of the same thing. Dinner food. Oh, that's what your body thinks. Until it says to you, hey, I'm full. No more of that stuff. Then though, something different comes along. Dessert.
Yep, and we'll have more on that later. For now, let's focus on how your stomach feels about eating dinner.
Good idea. Now, imagine it's dinner time. So let's say you finish off a bowl of delicious noodles. delicious. Now, when something like this happens, your stomach will send a message to your brain saying, enough is enough. Basically, your body is saying, no more of that same old stuff. I want something new, a new flavor.
Right. Our article says, however, if you're with a new, more exciting flavor like strawberry ice cream, then amazingly, your stomach gets interested again and is ready for more.
Your options are A, featured, B, introduced, C, presented, or D, integrated.
好，题目的意思是，然而，如果你空格一种新的、更令人兴奋的味道，像是草莓冰淇淋，那么令人惊讶的是，你的胃会再次感兴趣，并准备好迎接更多食物。这题是在考我们字汇，由于课文它是被动语态，所以我们看到4个选项都是以过去分词来呈现的。那我们来看看它们的原形动词。选项 A。Feature 它是指以什么为特色主题。B. Introduce 它是指介绍、引进。Introduce somebody to something 也可以用来表达说使某人初次体验某事物，去接触到某事物。C. Present 它表示呈递、赠送。那么 present somebody with something 是表达将某物呈现给某人，或者是呈递、赠送给某人。D. Integrate 它表示使融合、使加入，我们可以用 integrate somebody with 或是 into something 来表达使某人融入什么之中。那根据课文比较符合语义的动词是 introduce 或者是 present， 不过 introduce 后面要搭配的介系词是 to。而不是 with， 所以呢，这边就只有 present 符合文意，也符合用法。这题的答案要选 C presented。So the sentence should read.
However, if you're presented with a new, more exciting flavor like strawberry ice cream, then amazingly, your stomach gets interested again and is ready for more.
Okay, everyone, let's read on. Now, strawberry ice cream is nice and all, but when I'm full, I am full. I don't want anything else.
Now, Hanny, you say that now, but anyway, yeah, when I'm full too. But somehow, even when I'm full, I do seem to find a way to squeeze in a little dessert. Now, does that make me weird? No. Science says that this is totally normal.
Well, I guess you're right. Anyway, the next sentence of our article tells us more about this. It says, the same phenomenon makes you crave sweet treats after you eat too much salty food. What is this? Well, it's your belly telling your brain to liven things up. 好，这边补充一下 crave 这个动词就表示渴望或是迫切需要。那么 liven something up 它表示使某事变得有趣吸引人。那么课文就是要表达说，当我们吃太多咸的之后，就会想要吃甜的，就是因为说我们肚子啊在告诉大脑说，一直吃咸的好无聊哦，赶快来点甜点让它有趣。Okay, with that, it is now time to define both the second and third vocabulary words of the day.
Correct. The second vocabulary word of the day is phenomenon. A phenomenon is something that happens. Something that happens in nature, in our bodies, in society, etc. Now, sometimes the word phenomenon, I should say, is used to talk about natural things that are amazing and big. Here, though, a phenomenon is just something that happens in our bodies that is interesting or noteworthy. By the way, phenomenon, that's singular. Phenomena, that would be plural. For example, lightning is a natural phenomenon that releases a large amount of energy.
Okay, and the third vocabulary word of the day is belly. As we mentioned before, tummies and stomachs and bellies can refer to about the same thing. But let's be specific. Your belly is this part of your body, the stuff below your chest that contains the stomach and other organs. For example, the soldier got down on his belly and started to crawl through the mud.
Okay, everyone. It is now time to take another break. But don't go away. We'll be back with the rest of this month's cloze test soon.
Have your cake and eat it. Try it for yourself. Next time you feel like you just couldn't eat another bite, have a sip of sweet juice or a bite of a tangy apple and see if that reawakens your appetite. Just be careful though, sometimes enough really is enough.
Welcome back. It is time to begin wrapping up this month's cloze test lesson.
In case you've forgotten, the name of our article is Have Your Cake and Eat It. Yes, everyone, you can have your cake and eat it. That is, you can eat cake for dessert even when you've already eaten your fill of other things.
Right, when you're full, you can often still find room in your belly for dessert. Why? Science says it's because dessert is different, i.e., most likely different from what you ate for dinner.
Yes, your belly apparently likes to liven things up. Don't believe me? Well, if so, try it for yourself.
Indeed. And the next sentence says, next time you just couldn't eat another bite, have a sip of sweet juice or a bite of a tangy apple and see if that reawakens your appetite.
Your options are A, feel like, B, believe in, C, make sure, or D, figure out.
好，题目的意思是，下次当你空格，你再也吃不下时，喝一口甜的果汁，或咬一口香甜可口的苹果，看看是否能恢复你的食欲。句子里面有2个补充单字 ，tangy。它是形容扑鼻的或是浓烈，就是香气扑鼻的啊，或是某个东西味道它是很浓烈的。那么 reawaken 这个动词表示重新唤起、再次引发，这个字首 re 就有重新、再次的意思。那这题呢是在考我们动词，我们先来看选项 A。Feel like 它表示感觉像是怎么样怎么样，后面可以接名词或接子句。B believe in 之后接人就表示对某人有信心，那么接事物就表示你是相信什么的存在。那么 C make sure 它是指确保、确认，像是要表达确保某事会发生。make sure 后面常接 that 子句，那么 that 可以省略不用。D figure out 它则是指弄清楚或是解决。好，由于题目空格后面是接一个子句，而且从语义上来看，课文是要建议我们说，下次感觉再也吃不下、觉得吃不下的时候可以怎么做。因此最适合的答案是 A feel like. So the sentence should read,
Next time you feel like you just couldn't eat another bite, have a sip of sweet juice or a bite of a tangy apple and see if that reawakens your appetite.
Okay, everyone, it is now time to define the final vocabulary word of the day, sip. To have a sip is to drink something slowly by taking a very small amount into your mouth each time. Very often, people sip their coffee or wine to enjoy its taste. For example, you look horrible. Sit down and have a sip of water.
Okay, now that we're done with that, I say we finish off today's lesson.
Good idea. The final sentence of today's lesson says, just be careful. Sometimes enough really is enough.
Your options are A, either, B, instead, C, though, or D, otherwise.
好，题目的意思是要小心空格，有时候够了就是够了。那这题是来考我们副词，先来看选项 A。Either 或是念作 either， 它当副词可以表达也或是而且，那这时候它必须用在否定陈述里面，就可以表达出也不怎么样的语义。B instead 它表示作为代替。C though 做副词的时候，它表示不过可是。D otherwise 它当副词表示否则不然。那课文前一句建议我们说再也吃不下的时候，你可以用一口甜的东西来看看能不能恢复食欲。这边又说要小心，有时候够了就是够了，真的饱了就别再吃了。所以这个上下文呢是有语气的转折，最适合的答案是 C though. So the sentence should read,
Just be careful though. Sometimes enough really is enough. Everyone, with that, this month's clothes test is complete.
Yes, it is. That being said, the clothes test will be back next month. See you then.
Hello, everybody! 欢迎来到一会鸟知道这些。I am Holly.
Hey everybody, I'm Shane. Welcome to Confusing Words.
Anyway, 今天的主题是错误怎么用才对。
Okay, so we have two words today. Error
Error,
and mistake.
mistake.
Okay, so error. Error is more like, oh, this is a good way to think of it. A computer can make an error, but a computer doesn't make mistakes.
OK， 所以它比较像是资讯上或是你步骤上的错误，所以电脑可能会出现这种错误，对不对？
Yeah, so it's about information something. So like an example would be the information in the article was proved to be in error.
OK 这篇文章的资讯被证实是错的。
Okay, so mistake is more like judgment or maybe your morals or something
对
like that.
所以这种错误其实跟人比较有关系，就是你的判断或是你的道德上面造成的错误。
Yeah, so you can say I made up for my mistake by working extra hard.
我更加努力工作来弥补我的错误。
Okay.
You know what's not a mistake though?
Oh yeah, watching live action.
Yeah, watching live action.
You seem a little bit sad. Is everything okay?
Not really. I made a big mistake today at work, and I'm afraid my boss thinks I'm an idiot.
What happened?
I sent an order to a customer, and there was a big error. The customer accidentally ordered 22 of the same item instead of just 2. They pressed 2 twice by mistake when they placed the order.
But that's not your fault, right? There was an error in the order because of the customer's mistake.
Well, yes, but we are trained to be careful for input errors like that. If an order seems too large or strange, we need to confirm with the customer before we process the order.
That makes sense. Mistakes happen. Don't be too hard on yourself.
Actually, that's what my boss said. She told me to just be more careful next time.
She's right. Let me treat you to dinner to cheer you up.